Yeah.
Well, good morning. So Tamir is our guest on the Mado podcast today. Um, I'm super excited to have him here today. Me and Tamir, we actually went to high school together. We also went to college together. So it's been quite a bit since we've caught up. So I'm very excited to have the conversation today and talk, just reconnect in a sense, and also um, as per what we do for the Mado podcast, it's highlight talent, global talent all across the world. And Tamir right now is in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. So welcome to our podcast today, Tamir.
I'm happy to be here, Jonas.
Yeah, awesome. So tell me a little bit. I think I know a little bit about you, but those who might be watching, they don't know who you are. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, okay, so I am Tamir, and I live in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. I am currently a web developer, but that's not how all things started. Uh, I did civil engineering for my undergraduate in Addis Ababa University. Took 5 years there, just growing up in college, and then went into the work field. Took 1 year break after college, and then started work. So yeah, work wasn't as expected. It wasn't as exciting as we all hoped. So uh, you know, I felt like there needed to be some changes. So after about a year working in civil engineering, I decided to switch to some computer science aspects just because I was more interested there. And I found myself going through a couple of schools, a couple of online classes and stuff to self learn. And now I work as a web developer. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nice, nice. It is. So typically, a lot of people don't take gap years from, at least from what I know in Ethiopia. So how did that come about? What did you do in your gap year? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Uh, I mean, it's been a while right now, but how it was, I just graduated, and I mean, there was a lot of graduates in our year. If you remember, we were called the China batch, and it was because we were a lot of people. And
Yeah,
I mean, after we graduated, yeah, everyone was running around looking for jobs and stuff, and it was a bit just overwhelming after it, and I just um, wanted to just, you know, be okay, just taking a break. But yeah, it wasn't planned as in like I'll take a 1 year gap before I start a job, but I was just not stressing too much about it and just taking a break.
yeah, that does make sense. I think, and I want to speak a little bit about that because I remember the year that I guess the class that graduated above us. I think civil engineering, there were like 90 students. I remember they our seniors, like our immediate
Yeah,
seniors.
before us.
And then
Yeah,
when we graduated, we're like 900 something. Yeah, we are like 900 something. And
yeah,
I think it was like a
that
strategy from the education, um, the government to have a lot of engineers. But then when we graduated, there were so many of us on the market. Like if you went to apply for a job, there were like lines and lines and lines of people just, looking for work.
yeah,
And quite a few of our friends also went into piloting. Like they all just immediately started taking classes to become pilots. Um, so I definitely know
yeah,
what you mean. Like that first year, um, yeah, it changed a lot after that. I think it kept going the same direction to the extent where um, an engineer's degree didn't mean as much as it did before our like our particular uh, group of, I guess, students. I guess when we came in, everything changed after. So amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I always felt like you're gonna end up in tech because like you always were the one who would solve problems for anybody with a broken PC, any software issues. I remember we all that remember that room that you'd like basically sit in, and then you're like the Yoda. Everybody would come and have their problems. Like, can you like tell people, because that was a wild time in our lives. So can you like speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, in college, um, I mean, yeah, I ended up in civil engineering somehow in college, but yeah, we were always in the like electrical floor. There was a room where we had just internet, and internet wasn't easy to come by back then. I mean, we didn't have much at home, and there was good internet at the university, so we were always just plugged in, Ethernet cable to the wall with the speeds, and yeah, in the electrical labs, just doing some internet stuff, downloading some movies or whatever, back then. And yeah, everybody used to come there in that room, and we were a gang of people there. It was a good time. We had fun in college, yeah, because of that.
Yeah, I remember like you were our movie supplier. Like every time we'd all come over with our USB discs and we're like, okay, where's the next season of like did the new episode of Lost drop or was Survivor or whatever it was, and you're like there just
Yeah,
supplying the needs of the masses. So that those are
it
actually
was
good
crazy.
times. And do you remember when we would sit in a room and connect use LAN to play Halo. Like all of us in one room.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Definitely, Halo was a thing. At some point, everybody was like, it was a very good time, as I remember. Yeah, Halo.
yeah, we had a blast. I really appreciated. It's like good times. Every time I think back, like we didn't, um, we didn't know much then, but it was kind of like, we were all in one room, playing team deathmatch on Halo, connected on LAN, and sometimes, the connection might not be the greatest, but it was just an absolute blast. So, um, yeah,
Yeah.
so we had an interesting college experience, let's say, and after that, what made you switch into tech? Like, what was the point where you're like, okay, I don't want to continue in civil engineering, and how did you decide um, to make this change?
So after 1 year in college, I started a job as just a junior site engineer at Elmio, some company. It was a good company here in Addis, and I was just at the site. We were building this big dome structure, metal, and it was a lot of welding, and it was a lot going on at the site, and I I didn't know anything, but yeah, just started the job there. But yeah, I found myself just sitting at the office, just waiting for the time to end. There wasn't much learning there. It was mostly just to go out on the site and just check what the people are doing. If are they, welding correctly and stuff. So it wasn't as much exciting to me. Um, and I just saw, a few years ahead that this wasn't going to be, a good path to continue by. So, I mean, I was 1 year of that. So by the end, I just felt like, yeah, I just felt like I needed a change.
Okay, nice. And what was the transition into web development for you? Like, how did you go about acquiring the skills, and also looking for work?
Uh, so at the start, I started just maybe just checking things online and see, which path I can proceed in and stuff. And then me and a friend, we joined a local college here, just for actually a master's program in computer science. But there was like a 1 year bridging course for it, which gave you all the background you need, that you missed in college when you took a computer science degree. So we had that 1 year bridging program. So I took that for 1 year, and yeah, it was a good, exciting period. Fun courses. Programming fundamentals, the foundations. uh, You know. So after that, I was going to join the master's program, but when the master's program came, it was more about research and stuff, research methodologies and stuff. So I felt like that wasn't for me. So I took that 1 year certificate bridging, and then I moved to another school, Gabia. You know it probably, right? So Gabia, I just took some front end front end stuff. So it was Angular and just basic web development, JavaScript and stuff like that. So that's where I really started getting into web development. Yeah. So from then
Uh,
on, I just
Amazing. So
from by myself and stuff. Uh, I uh, I got it to where it is now.
nice. I guess for those who might not know, Gabea is a talent platform. I think an African talent platform. They also, and this is just from my knowledge, so it might not be perfectly accurate. But they train the software developers all over Africa, and then they also have a talent marketplace where you can go and find a lot of different skill sets. And from my understanding, at least, their vetting process is pretty decent. So you can feel free to check them out. They actually have a lot of decent talent on their platform. So, okay, web development. You've got your basics down. What does self-learning look like? Do you take courses? Do you read? Like, what were your main channels that you used to teach yourself?
It was a lot of video, a lot of maybe online courses, just video courses, and yeah, just stuff that I found online. And yeah, the tough part about it is just, when you're self-learning, it's you have to come to it by your own schedule, and nobody's going to be like you have class at this time and stuff. So you have to really plan and just keep going, and it will take a long time to self-learn, and you have to have that motivation and discipline to just continue with it. But yeah, it wasn't easy when I started. Okay, I did some learning, and then that I got off on it a bit, and then I started again. So it was a learning process, but it was mostly video courses that I took, and it was mostly watching. But as I progressed further, I found out that you just have to get dirty with it and just code and build something to actually just retain most of the things you're hearing on the videos. So from then I just started building a couple of websites, a couple of projects, and yeah, that's how it went.
Amazing. That's awesome. I always appreciate, when somebody uh, is interested in something and they are able to learn, because that's never an easy process. As you said, you don't have the structure, you don't have exams and tests, and people sometimes to even give you feedback, right? To say you're going in the right or wrong direction. And so you finish this. Now you have to go out and look for work. So what was that process like?
Work, yeah, it was like a very weird process because you just don't know where to start. I mean, I looked into some local companies as well, and some talent platforms as Gabia and stuff to just find a small job to get started on. Uh, and then I also looked online, for jobs just who are open to entry level, just developers, and especially because I didn't have a degree, especially here locally, most of the companies just want a computer science degree or something related with that, and it wasn't easy to just find a job without those credentials. So uh, online though, I found more companies that didn't care much about that, and who just wanted you know to see what you built or what you're showcasing, and they would give you a chance. So I applied to a lot of jobs, just sent out my portfolio, my CV to a company, had a couple of interviews, then I found a couple of interviews and I landed a job just like that. And so the company I got hired for was just didn't needed some test tasks instead of just papers and stuff. So I went through a test task, then I went to an interview process, and then I finally got hired.
Was this ScandiWeb or was it a different company?
Yes, this was CandyWeb. So that's I think almost now coming to 2 years ago. So I've been there for that time.
Amazing. Wow. And actually, what you raised is a very good point where in Ethiopia, um, like self-learning, if you learn, if you say, I know how to code, but I taught myself, oh, it's like climbing a mountain, right? It's so difficult to find work because people want to see that paper. They want to see, it's very tough to get your foot in the door. So, um, man, I have a
Yeah.
lot of respect for the grind to find work remotely. That's very impressive. Um, so what do you do now? Like,
Yeah.
what kind of tech stacks do you work with? What is the type of work that you get involved in?
So the company I work for, ScandiWeb, is a Latvian-based company, and they work in e-commerce. So they manage sites for clients, e-commerce sites, and also they build e-commerce sites for new clients. So I'm mostly now working on managing those sites. So when we come to e-commerce, we have a platform called Magento. So most of our projects are based on Magento. So that's mostly PHP and some JavaScript and a bit of XML. So most of the stacks I work with now are PHP and JavaScript. But with this company, there are a lot of projects. So right now, even I'm working on two projects. So 4 hours on one project, 4 hours on another project a day, and it differs depending on the project. Sometimes I've been on some WordPress projects, some big commerce projects, some React flavored, JavaScript projects. So I've I've seen a lot of stacks. Mm.
Yeah, amazing. So, um, okay, can you tell me a little bit about, let's say I'm new to the e-commerce space. So, can you tell me a little bit about what different platforms are very common? I think I've heard of Shopify before. I think you mentioned Magento right now. So, can you tell me about some of the platforms?
Yeah. So, I mean, the most popular e-commerce platform is definitely Shopify, and there are also other smaller platforms like BigCommerce that's just starting to come up, and There's also Magento, which now is owned by Adobe, so that's also a big platform. I think there are also some other smaller, just management, content management platforms that support just selling and e-commerce. So I think the reason why our company uses Magento is because Magento is very detailed in in what it can do. So it's very customizable and it can cater to a lot of different type of clients and their needs. So if a client wants to run a big store, Magento can handle those challenges that might produce. Also a smaller store, you can um, work with Magento. So Shopify, I haven't worked much with Shopify, but it's more of a simpler platform and more user friendly. So clients can manage it easier, but it's a bit limited in what it can do. So you're like sacrificing some usability for some uh, more features with these two platforms. But I think they're the two most popular e-commerce platforms right now.
Yeah, uh, that is it's a fascinating space because um, e-commerce is so massive these days where anybody's buying and selling stuff. A lot of people are buying and selling online, and as you know that experience moves away from like physical stores and point of sale, you're tapping your debit card or paying cash, whatever. um it's a very interesting space to be in. um so what is the biggest challenge, would you
Yeah.
say, as a Magento dev? Like, what is your biggest challenge?
Magento Dev. By the way, how when I started this job, I was employed as a React developer, so to work on the React side of things, just because that was where my more of my experiences lie. And we also, our company has some projects in React, but once I joined, they wanted me to learn most of their stack if I was going to stay there. So they wanted me to get into PHP, which I had no experience with when I started, and which Magento is based on PHP. So it was a very important language to learn. So I had to learn on the job, just on projects, actually, like live projects. You find some issues, and of course there's some education part of the company where they teach you as you go. So I had to really like learn as I go, and it was very challenging because you have to give a lot of time to it. um, Ask a lot of questions to your coworkers, and figure things out as you go. But yeah, I have to learn PHP and Magento. Even Magento is known to be a very hard platform to learn. The learning curve there, I think there are a lot of memes about the learning curve of Magento and how steep it is once to start. And so it was a tough uh, undertaking to start from scratch learning this platform. But yeah, the company is great. A lot of people you can ask if you get stuck, and yeah, we managed to push through it. And now I'm pretty comfortable with Magento.
Yeah,
I've
that's
been working on a lot of different projects.
well.
Yeah, it's been a good journey.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like, and I think I really appreciate a company that's willing to, you come in and they're like, okay, we do a lot of diverse things. Now you need to learn, right? You need to learn, and companies that have the space for that are really good places to work because they don't just pigeonhole you into one location. So what ScandiWeb does was with like letting people grow and learn different things is quite admirable. I think that's a really that's a good way to go about things. Wow, that was this has been such a nice conversation. Just to catch up And I guess it's been a while since I've been uh, since I guess it's been 8 years since I left Ethiopia. I was in Mekelle for 2 years as an assistant lecturer. So I guess from Addis about 10 years. What would you say, like, what are some of the biggest changes if somebody, for you living there, experiencing Ethiopia or Addis Ababa, I guess, what have been the biggest changes that you've noticed?
Just in Ethiopia as a whole, just living here. Um, I mean, prices have been going up. This new inflation that's come up after COVID, it's a very, it's made life very tough for, for everybody here. And yeah, the prices have just skyrocketed. I mean, what else has changed? A lot of buildings, just buildings everywhere now. Apartment buildings are, coming up on every, especially when you come to the center of the city. It's just coming up a lot. So yeah, there's a lot of changes to the city.
Yeah, I definitely noticed when I was back in Ethiopia, I think it was last year, and I'm actually looking at some inflation. I don't know how accurate this website is, but I'm looking at some data, and I remember taking a look, and it was like 35% in 2022, and I just thought that was, and I guess it's hyperinflation, and it was like 20s in 2021, and like 20 something in 2020, and the same like 20 around the 20% in like 2020. And I thought when I came back, so the last time I was in Ethiopia was like 4 years prior, pre-COVID, and then I come back, and
Oh,
the first experience I had was the currency had changed. So we were leaving the parking lot, and I saw somebody give a green note for parking, and I thought, oh my
mm,
god, why is somebody paying 100 local currency, which is birr, 100 birr for parking? And then what I realized is it had changed, and now the green is a 20, I think. Yeah. So but as I like
yeah,
moved, as I started to, um, I realized, if you graduate as a, let's say, computer science, right now, I heard like entry salaries might be in the local price, that is like 5,000, 7,000 birr. But then there were moments where
yeah,
if I went to a restaurant and I ate with somebody, like you'd spend 1,000 easy, So I was like, what is going on? And I remember like having a conversation with someone or asked them, how do people eat out? And this person just straight up looked at me and said, I haven't eaten out in years. And I just, oh my. So the inflation, especially the
yeah,
last couple of years, um, yeah, it has been really concerning. And it's also why like I started Mado. I was like, we need to try and get Ethiopians onto the global remote market, because um, like there's no way you can survive on the local um, on the local, whatever you're getting paid locally doesn't keep up with inflation. It's not even close. So I feel like it's very difficult to make a good living. So yeah, that's definitely something I
definitely,
noticed. And the buildings, as you said,
definitely.
yeah, massive, massive, everywhere. I think like if it wasn't for Google Maps, I would have gotten lost 100%. Like yeah, like I was driving, but
Even me, I
if I
use
didn't
Google
have
Maps.
Google
I
Maps,
wouldn't.
it would have been impossible for sure.
It changes so quickly that
That's so
I'm not
true.
good with even memorizing roads, and I just would rather stick with Google Maps.
Yeah, that's so good. Like that wasn't as well. Internet has blown up though, right? At the same time, especially post-COVID. Is it post-COVID where the internet has really improved, like access at least
in in Ethiopia, yeah, it's slowly been
in Ethiopia,
getting
like
better,
internet
getting better.
access.
Yeah, because people,
When
yeah, because people have
go ahead, go ahead. I'm listening.
have their phones on them, and they're just using social media now. Everybody wants internet, and the telecom companies, see this, and I think they made the prices much cheaper, especially for like cellular networks now. It's just 4G, and those types of internets are pretty cheap, so people have more access to it. I don't know how many people are using it to, for good purposes, but most people are on social media because uh, that's the thing right now. And I think, yeah, that propelled the internet use, and the
That's
telecom
definitely
company
true. I
sees
think
the profit there. Yeah.
that's definitely true. Internet usage. What surprised me was even my mother-in-law's on TikTok, so she's like, watching her, and it curates the
That's
whatever you're
great.
watching to what you like. So she's on there, and yeah, it's a fascinating space. Everybody's being super tech savvy. So I think we can wrap it up here. Like, it was such a fabulous conversation. Thank you, Tamir, for being a guest today. And I wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Same for you. I'm happy to be here. Yeah, happy to
Okay,
catch up.
bye.
Let's do this again. And yeah, talk soon.
For sure. We will. Okay, thanks, Tamir. Bye.